I just noticed that that particular Grail cup is behind that camera, sitting in front of a DVD there. I hadn't noticed that where it was, but that DVD is Waterworld. And so to get that particular cup, you have to do a great water thing. Jason Media Journey. That's the old cup. You also get this one. That's a Pluto aspect of that particular journey. That's the one after Jason. You have to do Pluto. It's a long journey. And so, just to remind you before we start this video, that this is not an isolated video. It's this is part 35, I think, of a series of videos, 35 so far. We don't know where it's going to end yet, but it's an entire thesis, the natural order of poets, bards and druids, the re-establishment of that order into reality, Reality means into the people, their understanding of who they are, and the synthesis of 5,000 years of evolution of mankind, humankind, from fallen and demonic state into the highest level of the avatar synthesis. And it's the time of the avatar synthesis now. Now's the time of the avatar synthesis. 2025, I think, is the year of the avatar synthesis. So we're right on time, according to Alice Bailey, I think, and externalization of the hierarchy is part of the prophecy, if you like, of the coming. I'll take 5. Now, as I watched that video back that I just made, my window is open and a gang of youths walk past, mainly boys, with a girl trailing behind them, following them, making quite a lot of noise, and obviously up to probably no good, yeah? And this is what happens to children if they're just allowed to run amok without any proper teaching about their place in the universe. The order of poets, bards and druids is the first thing that they should learn. Their destiny, why they're here, their purpose and function on the planet. And there's nobody teaching anything like this in the schools. Yeah. They don't know how to behave one with the other. They don't know what a lady's for. They don't know what a girl's for. Now this is video number 336. 666, you know, that's the number of the beast, the 6. The 6 is an anti-spiral. I think this is sticking into the video. This is an anti-spiral. Spiral of destruction. And that's where the world is heading. And without the leadership of the poets, the bards and the druids, there's no real future for the world. Now, I've just watched a video, came in my feed, I clicked on it, had a look, and there's a man who goes to China and makes videos about the manufacturing companies there, how stuff is made in China. And he said at the end of this video, he said he couldn't find anybody, any company in the West to sponsor his video that he made. He said it's very expensive to make these videos go over to China, and to film the stuff, paid film guy and all that. So he says he was talking, bemoaning the fact that nobody wants to be involved, and he thought nobody wanted to be involved, perhaps because it was China. But I think if you saw this video, he probably sees and thinks this is all very interesting stuff, yeah. And I watch it, I think it's absolutely horrific. You got this dirty factory in China. It's dirty because the stuff it's making, neodymium magnets, to make these electric motors from this size to this size, from a few watts to hundreds of thousands of watts motors. And millions of neodymium magnets are required, millions, to make these motors, and enough wire to go round the universe probably 5 or 6 times. Now, somebody's got to make all this stuff, and the people making this stuff in this factory, and a lot of it's repetitive, very repetitive work. Now they've got machines that are doing this work. These machines are taking pieces of poisonous substance, neodymium, which is very, very polluting just to manufacture. It contains trace elements of uranium and radion and all sorts of stuff. Makes it good for magnetism, I suppose. And they've got to cut and grind this stuff. They don't press it into shape. They actually cut it. They cut it. And so there's all this, every time you cut metal, there's waste, there's fine metal particles. And the way they cut it using special modern processes that cut very, very small, tiny particles off. Lasers and grinding machines, polishing machines that introduce those fine particles, yeah. Not only do they enter the air where the people can breathe them in, they coat everything with this powder. And they also pollute, they need water to cool the grinding machines. There's a lot of water involved, so they're using a lot of water. And this water is being polluted by neodymium and its products. Now, this is not a technology which I would give the tick to as a person of nature, because a technology has to be a valid human technology that can be used. A divine technology does not destroy the environment, and this stuff does. And they're making out of this stuff, well, they're making drones, you know, these drones that they use in warfare, and all these robotic arms and stuff like that. They're all powered robots, got thousands of motors in them, yeah. And so the demand for these neodymium magnets and all these little tiny motors is just, nobody can keep up with it, yeah. And all the time it's polluting everything, you know. And there were children, pretty much just young people, like walk past my window there, who's got nothing to do. They were sitting by themselves making motors, the stuff that the machines can't do. And it's very repetitive, yeah, very, very repetitive, winding motors. It's probably soul destroying, and I didn't see anybody who was older than about 17 doing it in the boys section, and then there were women, older women involved in it. Well, probably the women have got no choice. They've got nothing else they can do, yeah. So, if you think about the manufacture of a motor like this, we didn't have motors in the past, okay. Now, when you came to this kind of shop manufacture, it's a brush. It's a brush for cleaning the lens, yeah. And this is a camera. And you can clean the men's with a brush. Okay. Now, you don't use a vacuum cleaner to clean a lens. You don't need a vacuum cleaner, yeah. And when you use an object like this, a brush, it doesn't make noise. Yeah, it doesn't make noise. Doesn't work that well. Brushes used to be simple things. Now it's complicated. Now let's go back. Don't know. It doesn't, obviously. Oh. Goes on this end, but there's nothing on this end. I don't know. And these were the sort of objects that we used to make before the advent of the electric motor. They were mechanical objects, yeah. And you could probably criticize some of the manufacturing techniques used, but they weren't making millions of them, yeah. And it was probably controllable. Now they're making so many millions of motors that it just boggles the mind, yeah. And they only needed one of these, and we've still got it today. So nice, we've still got it today. But all these little motors, they just end up in the trash because they're not worth recycling. Because there are too many pieces. Motors used to be, electric motors used to be simple things. They just had like a square armatures, and it was simple to wind, simple to make. Now they've got so many poles because the scientists designing them, the people designing them, aren't the ones that make them. So they design them to be super high efficient with so many pieces and shaped in certain ways, and now the process of making them is complex and difficult, and tolerances are small. You need little hands to do it. Probably couldn't do it in the West. Hands are too big. So what we to do, what are we going to have the young people do? Do we ask the young people, what do you want to do? Do we ask them? Or do we say, you haven't got a job, you will do whatever job you can find. The only job we got here is making neodymium magnets. You will do neodymium. Can't even say the word. Must be the devil's process and the devil's object. And whenever you start up a vacuum cleaner, you know, you just can't stand it. Drones are the same. Anything that spins like that makes noise. Terrible. Now, I once bought an amplifier, sight unseen and unheard, a bass amplifier, and I turned it on and it sounded like it was going to take off. This is for making music with. So I took the back off and I disconnected the cooling fan. So I thought, well, I'm not going to play for hours and hours, I'm just going to play it for a bit. So, electric motors, they're no good. Now, I got that for a reason, because, let's get this one. Now, you used to turn the thing with your fingers like this and press a button, yeah. You got a certain satisfaction from this process of using the mechanical object, yeah. You don't get a pushing the button. And I watched somebody getting into a car, and normally you get into a car, you just pull the handle and open the door, yeah. This one, you had to touch something, the handle had to come out, some electric motor made the handle come out. I don't know. And then touch the handle and open, I don't know, you know, it's like, has everybody gone mad? You know, can't we just have a door handle to open the door? Yeah. Does it have to, you have to clap and the handle opens or something? I mean, how mad do you have to go before you've had enough of all this novelty? Frivolity it is. Okay. My car has this, your car doesn't have that. It's the dog's barking, see. Dog hasn't barked on my videos, but this is a 6th video. The dog has to bark on this video. Now, with mechanical objects, always improving them can be, and the later models, they had a lever. Okay, but then they decided that they were going to make that a motor's going to do that. It's going to have electronics and all that. So this is the last camera I ever got in my collection. Yeah, this is a Konica FS1, and it doesn't work. It's a great camera, expensive camera, that it's got a motor in it and it's got electronics, and it probably just needs taking apart and all the contacts cleaning and all that sort of stuff, and it will probably could be made to work again, but I can't be bothered. It's too tricky, you know. It's too fine. And all these cameras, they're all still working, but this one isn't. And this is more modern than all of these things. Yeah. Now, they completely eliminated the winding mechanism when they went to the digital camera. Because it didn't need to wind anymore. Yet, this was the first camera that was made that had proper controls, because what you do is when you make everything electronically controlled with buttons and stuff, you lose the ability to have multiple controls over different things which you need all the time. So this one you can change the f-stop by just turning this here. You can over or under expose by turning something here. You've got buttons, many buttons. The first digital camera didn't have all this. They just had a screen. So it's got one screen here, another one here. This was very advanced for its day. If you wanted to put the flash up, it was just a mechanical process to do it. You know? There's a motor to focus the lens and move it in and zoom it. Okay, and there's a zoom control here. Yeah. So can't be done without motors, without electric motors in this way. Yeah. So you can see we moved into the electric motor age, and now we've gone electric motor mad. And I don't want my children to have to make electric motors in some electric motor factory where they can die from neodymium poisoning. And do we care that the Chinese are all doing it for us? And will it be any different if we make robots to replace the people making the motors in the factories? We could do that, yet then we need even more motors in the joints of the robots. You know? And all those joints and motors will need maintaining, and so we'll just be repairing endless robots that have stopped functioning in different joints. And that will be, is that what humanity wants? Is that the work that humanity wants to embark on? It's food for thought, isn't it? When all we really need to do is eat, build our little houses, make love to our lady, enjoy the company of our children, and let them work together with us in the fields or whatever, gather together for the harvest. What's wrong with this life? Yeah. Why do we need to become slaves in some motor winding factory, forever winding motors from dawn to dusk for a bowl of rice and a cell in a slave factory? And is it is it the new Victorian age, yeah, where children are subjected to this kind of abuse? We'll take 5. Now I'm not sure where the avatar of synthesis is going with this video. It's just as much a surprise to me what comes out as it is to you. So this video is number 340. 30, 40 is the next main jump after 30. It's a 340, so it's a 340. So we'll see what comes out here. Now I'm looking here at the Forgotten Books of Eden. The Forgotten Books of Eden. So our first teacher of humanity was Adam. Adam made some mistakes with Eve and learnt some stuff, and so Adam handed down some teachings to future generations. Yeah. And after Adam came Enoch. And Enoch had to give the hard word to the giants, the Watchers. And what the Watchers did was they consumed the earth. They grew so big they turned into giants, giant consumers of the planet. And Enoch had to pass the word from God to them to say, your time is up, you're finished. I already had to do this already. I said already twice. I'm doing it again. I did it once for a different race of people, and this time I'm doing it for the race of Israel. Okay. Now after Enoch we had the great flood, and the children of Adam were washed away, and a new order materialized after that great flood called the Order of Melchizedek. That was the order, a natural order of poets, bards and druids, re-established at that time. Melchizedek was a boy child. I'm having trouble starting the sentences. It's not an easy thing to do what I'm doing. I've made a whole video all morning, and this is the second one of the day, and it's also a big one too. I did have a sleep, and whilst I was asleep I had a vision. I heard the Avatar Synthesis making a whole video about what it seemed to be what the video was going to be. Yet I forgot that video. I don't know what it was. I have no memory for anything. So I'm watching the Avatar Synthesis again now, make a different video to the one that came in my vision in the sleep. Now Enoch also had visions, and God talked to Enoch, told him to warn the Watchers. God talked to me and told me to warn the Watchers, the new Watchers, yeah. And they've been given the message. it's not going any further, yeah. And so fire is coming. Fire now to America and fire to Israel. Fire is war. Even Donald Trump says America's the hottest place. The hottest place is hell. I said this before. I remember saying this before. Now Enoch was a great man, and he wrote the Book of Enoch, which is a wonderful book. The teachings in the Book of Enoch, good stuff. There's nothing in the Book of Moses that's worth bothering with, and Jesus came to tell the people that, because before Moses there was Jacob, who changed his name to Israel. And Jacob was an aborted family, because Esau was supposed to get the dispensation, yet Jacob stole the dispensation from Esau, and as a result of that, God changed his name to Israel, and he fought against God. God maimed him to show the world that he was not the leader of the people. And so that Israel has evolved ever since then, and every time God sends a Messiah, that Israel falls to a lower level and becomes more evil. Now, evil is to live your life backwards. That's all. Life, live, and evil, if you turn the word around, okay, if you turn the word around, you'll see it's like Natan and Otan, yeah? Live and evil. You hear the dove. Okay. Now, to live, Jesus taught that the living were those who had the Holy Spirit, and the fallen were those who were dead in the world. And ever since Jesus' time, Israel has been dead in the world, and to be dead in the world is to be evil. And if evil is allowed to prosper in the world, it will create more and more evil, yeah? And it will evolve evil to higher and higher levels of dysfunction. And so we have a very dysfunctional world now. Muhammad came to correct it, and it's fallen again from there. John of Salisbury came to correct it, it's fallen again from there. Krishnamurti came to correct it, it's fallen again from there. So now it's very, very fallen. And the state of the music really is a sign of the times, of the state of the world. And we've had the Glastonbury Festival, where all of the singers were dressed in knickers and bras, or dressed up like schoolgirls. Sickening, yeah. With the Jeffrey Epstein Files in the news, and the corruption of evil abuses of little girls and little boys, yeah, coming out of Hollywood, Now Hollywood is the evolution of Judaism. Hollywood is their creation, yeah, and it's their propaganda arm to pollute the world with false teachings, yeah. And I heard that it's not possible to make it in music, except you actually go to be in Hollywood. Your stuff won't get promoted, doesn't matter how good you are, you won't get airplay on the Silicon Valley controlled infrastructure. The Jewish, Israeli, American Israeli infrastructure. And you have to sell your soul to the devil to get on there. And people do it. And I've watched young artists start off well, and now they're wearing bras and panties on stage in front of a salivating audience of evil old men. The latest star on there has got fingernails, all of them, this long. Now, before the fall of the Chinese Empire, before America went over there and took over and destroyed the Chinese Empire, the Empress of China was looking like this. Yeah? It shows the corruption of evil in the society, the demonic face of the social problem. I'm going to put up a picture of this person just to show you the extent of the fall as it is right now in this moment in time, 2025, June. Let's have a look. The dog's barking. Now this is a tiny desk concert. It's a daytime performance in a controlled environment. It's a very nice environment. It's the nicest you can see a performance in, yeah. And all the players playing, all dressed in pink, and this is it's a all women group, yeah. And the person in charge of the group is a confessed lesbian, yeah. And this is a product, if you like, of the teaching that's going out into the world. What we teach our children, they become. And so this young woman has grown up listening to Taylor Swift. There's a lot of bad stuff in the lyrics of Taylor Swift. You can see the signs that God made about Taylor Swift concerts and stuff like that, and people taking their children to Taylor Swift. And so this is a fruit of it, of allowing this stuff in the world, this bad stuff. And so we've got a generation of homosexuals, homosexual boys, lesbian girls. They can't help themselves. It's the karma of the parents. It's very bad stuff. Now, you may say, oh no, this is not a problem. All these girls wearing pink, this is not a problem. Yeah, look at it, it's just dressed up in Barbie costumes. No, this is something bad going on here. These are bodies exposed, and you'll see in the next clip what happens is this. She exposes herself like this at regular intervals. Have a look at this. This is a family show, yeah? Now it's actually a witch's coven is what it is. Here's some pictures of the nails. Look at these. Now you might say, that's just show business, that's just fashion. Well, the dog doesn't think so. Dog is making that God is making that dog bark. God, dog. Okay, this next picture is a close-up of her, that same show, with another coven member next to her. Check out the expression on the coven member next to her, behind her actually. Look at the two together. What does it say? Big bark dog. Huh. Now at the beginning of this video I mentioned another person. That person is Olivia Rodrigo, who I admired in the beginning. I liked what she was doing in the beginning. Yet she's also a Taylor Swift acolyte, an apprentice of Taylor Swift, and she took Taylor Swift for a model, and Taylor Swift helped her into the music industry. Now Olivia Rodrigo helped this other woman into the music industry. She was opening for Olivia Rodrigo. Now, Olivia Rodrigo is kind of fallen. Her latest stuff is not as good as the old stuff. God has taken her powers away. And she's now, she's a sex object really now. And here she is with a dirty old man on stage, okay, at Glastonbury Festival 2025. Have a look at this lot. Now, what happened to these people? What did they do wrong that was against nature, that God took their powers away and put them under the devil's department? What did they do? And simply, they signed a contract. That's all it takes. You cannot swear any oaths. You cannot sign to say, in the future, I will do this. For money, normally. And anybody who's done this has had a bad experience. Anybody who's signed. And the only people who have managed to free themselves of this is if somehow they bought out their contract or somehow got rid of their contract and started again and started as the boss of themselves. That's the only way they ever got out of this kind of thing. And so it's a terrible thing to sell your soul to the devil. And it starts off in a small way that you are shown, you lose a certain small amount of power and you get shown in a bad light to a certain extent. Yet if you do the dirty on people, and there's all these tests, you know, if you change from one manager to another manager, if you do the dirty on a record label and go to another record label and sign a deal for even bigger money like the Rolling Stones did, then you end up in beggar's banquet. You have a beggar's banquet. You eat the sordid reality of the fruits of the devil. Drugs, alcohol, bad sex, disease, cancer, death, all sorts of stuff. AIDS. Now if you think it's an easy pathway, sign up with a record label and get rich and join this group, all I can say is you're wrong. It's not the easy way out. It's the terrible pathway of the devil. And what powers God gave you, you have to use those powers in service to the devil. And that's, he has given this young lady, he gave her great powers. She's a great singer. Yet mark my word, she'll be croaking in the end. She'll be croaking in the end like all the rest of them who went down this pathway. And only the good can sing at 80 years old, like Neil Young. Okay? Only the good can do that. And it doesn't matter what the BBC said about Neil Young. He was far superior to any of this rubbish that they put on. Just dancers with tune-o-matic electronic gear so that they can look like and act like they can sing, but they're just glorified dancers of the devil. Thanks for watching.